The psalmist shifts, and his tone darkens. The people who boasted in God now lament his apparent withdrawal. But thou hast cast off, and put us to shame, and goest not forth with our armies. Psalm 44, verse 9. The conjunction but marks the change in tone. The confident declarations of the previous verses give way to complaint. They feel as if God has cast them off. The verb suggests rejection and abandonment. The people feel discarded. They claim God has put us to shame, the very thing God did to their enemies in verse 7. Now, Israel experiences its own shame. God does not accompany their armies. His presence departs from their military campaigns. Without God, defeat follows. Verse 10 describes the consequences. Thou makest us to turn back from the enemy, and they which hate us spoil for themselves. Psalm 44, verse 10. Israel retreats, and they flee from battle. Their enemies plunder them. Their enemies take spoil and seize possessions. The phrase, for themselves, emphasizes the enemy's gain. They enrich themselves at Israel's expense. Verse 11 intensifies the imagery. Thou hast given us like sheep appointed for meat, and hast scattered us among the heathen. Psalm 44, verse 11. Israel becomes like livestock, destined for slaughter. Sheep have no defense. They are helpless before their predators. The comparison with sheep reveals vulnerability and helplessness. God scatters his people among the nations. Dispersion follows defeat. The people who were once gathered are now spread out, separated, and exiled among pagans. Verse 12 adds economic imagery. Thou sellest thy people for naught, and dost not increase thy wealth by their price. Psalm 44, verse 12. God sells his people as slaves, but he receives little in return. The verse emphasizes the degradation of Israel. God treats his people as merchandise of no value. He does not even benefit from their sale. The image conveys utter worthlessness and abandonment. Verse 13 returns to the theme of shame. Thou makest us a reproach to our neighbors, a scorn and a derision to them that are round about us. Psalm 44, verse 13. Their neighbors mock Israel. Surrounding nations ridicule them. The words reproach, scorn, and derision pile up to convey the intensity of humiliation. Israel becomes a byword for failure. Their disgrace is public and widespread. Verse 14 expands the scope of mockery. Thou makest us a byword among the heathen, a shaking of the head among the people. Psalm 44, verse 14. A byword is a proverbial example. Israel becomes an illustration of defeat and divine judgment. The shaking of the head is a gesture of contempt. People see Israel and shake their heads in scorn and in mockery. The gesture communicates disdain. Verse 15 personalizes the shame. My confusion is continually before me, and the shame of my face hath covered me. Psalm 44, verse 15. The psalmist speaks, and his confusion is sustained. He lives in a state of bewilderment and disgrace. Shame covers his face like a veil, and he cannot escape it. His shame is visible, public, and inescapable. Verse 16 identifies the source of the shame. For the voice of him that reproacheth and blasphemeth, by reason of the enemy and avenger. Psalm 44, verse 16. Their enemies blaspheme God, and their words attack not only Israel, but God. The enemy and avenger are those who seek to harm and to punish. They act as instruments of judgment, but their words go beyond correction to blasphemy. This passage reveals the pain of divine discipline. Israel suffers not because God is weak, but because he withdraws his presence. People who once boasted in God now experience his absence. Their lament is honest. The psalmist does not hide the reality of defeat, nor does he pretend all is well. Instead, he brings his complaint to God. The psalmist's honesty opens the door to restoration. He denies neither the shame nor does he excuse their defeat. He brings his pain to God, and his lament is an act of faith.